So this right here is the Küat Piston Pro X. It is a top-of-the-line hitch rack for transporting bikes and e-bikes. It's without a doubt one of the nicer racks that I've ever used, but I still think there are a few things that I could do different to improve. Let's talk about it all in this review. So if you're looking at buying a hitch rack, the truth of the matter is if you are looking at a rack from a reputable company, they all kind of serve the same essential purpose and function, right? Which is taking your bike or e-bike from point A to point B and doing it reliably and safely. And like, spoiler alert, again, if it's from a reputable company, they all do the same thing. But the ease of use, how adaptable it is to different styles of bikes, and just its longevity, that is where you get and develop different price tiers, and that's how you have differentiation in the market. So for this one here with the Küat Piston Pro X, this is built to be a top of the mountain bike. It's not looking to address pain points, it's looking to eliminate them entirely. It is built for longevity. It is the type of thing that it's a premium product with a premium price, but you will be getting what you pay for here. Now, I see this being really good for different types of people. If you're the type of person where cycling is not just a hobby, but it's life, and you have multiple styles of bikes in your garage, you've got your downhill, you've got your XC, you've got your gravel, you're going to love how quickly and easily this adjusts no matter which bike you're throwing on that particular day. Or if you're just the type of person who you really love your bike, you really want to make sure it's protected, and the hitch rack is an easy part of your life, you're going to love just how nice this rack is. Now, as of this filming, this rack is going for $1,389, so it definitely carries that premium price tag, which will scare away some people. But again, you get what you pay for. It is one of the nicer and easier racks I've used. So now let's quickly run through all of the essentials that you need to know before considering the Piston Pro X. All right, so let's go through some of the essentials you need to know about the Piston Pro X here. So it fits either a 1.5 or a 2-inch receiver. It's got a simple locking pin mechanism for keeping it on the hitch, as well as an expander to help it with anti-wobble. So this is a 2-tray setup. So each tray is rated for up to 67 pounds. It's gonna fit most any bike and the majority of e-bikes. For some of them, you're gonna need to drop the battery out in order to make that weight rating, kind of like this Adventure 2 that we have here. But if you do drop that battery out, it can fit just fine. You can keep the battery in the car with you. Now, in terms of its actual operation, like I said, this is a very simple system and very adaptable. Let's start with, of course, the piston itself. So this is what they call their one-tap pneumatic system. Just push right here, and it releases that arm open so that you can fit bikes on there. Do the same thing on the other side. So super simple for opening up. And then when you go to get your second bike in place, this is why I like this system a lot, and this is like something you get with these more premium systems, where this is an entire tray and rack back here. You can just very easily move the bike forward or backward to where it's going to not make contact with your second bike. If you've looked at a cheaper system before, a lot of the times they'll have footings that you have to kind of slide and adjust and get everything just right. And it's a little bit frustrating, a little bit of a pain. Very hard if you're putting different bikes on here all the time, so this is really nice to just get it lifted up. Like I said, you just kind of roll it into place wherever it's going to fit best. So, and just like that, it's in a good spot. So then you come down, and what you'll do is you'll secure this with the chock system here. This is really nice because it's going to fit tires all the way from 18 inches up to 29 inches in diameter. It's a very quick adjust chock system. Just slide it into the right position. So I'll get it on our 700C tire size. Then you just securely pull that down over top and from behind. And like I said, one of my favorite things about this, no touch with the frame at all. So it doesn't really matter if you have a high step bike or a step through bike where that's coming down on the tire, no contact, it doesn't really matter. It's going to fit, it's going to work just fine. So long as, of course, the wheel base is not exceeding 53 inches, which is the limit. But you can even get these like massive 5-inch wide tires back here. So like this Borealis bike that we have with an optional 5-inch wide tire, it even fits the system just fine, which is really awesome. While this is all very quick and easy to use, of course, with the piston and the chock, there's no actual locking mechanism built within, but Küat thought that through, and they provide you with this flexible cable lock. So what's really nice about that, if you're gonna park and leave your bikes on the rack for a little while, all you have to do is snake that through the wheels and the frame, and then it very quickly and securely locks down into place right here. And so just like that, you just make sure, you know, no one's gonna be running off your bike quickly and easily. So I really like the extra security here. And then of course, just like the 67 pounds overall. Now, another nice thing about this is it can actually be expanded to fit a third or a fourth bike. What you need to know about that though is if you go with the 3 expansion, you go from 67 pounds per tray to 50. And if you go with the 4, that'll change it down to 50 pounds. So just know in advance, you know, what you're gonna be able to fit with your bikes on this rack. So let's also do a bit of a deep dive on some of the cooler features that you get on the Piston Pro X, especially because there's actually a cheaper model to this. It's just the Piston Pro, but it doesn't have the following 2 features. So the first thing is the Kashima coat here on the stanchions. So if you're familiar with nicer higher end forks like the Fox factory line of stuff, you might recognize this color. So the Kashima coating is just basically, it helps with abrasion resistance. It's gonna help protect against scratches. It's gonna ensure the smooth actuation of that piston for a while, just make it nicer. And if we're being really honest, just a really solid looking gold color. I mean, it just feels a little bit more premium, a little bit nicer. And not only that, but there's also this integrated LED lighting right here. So that is really nice, both for safety and I think just kind of for the aesthetics. You can typically see brake lights just fine through wheels, but extending out that light just kind of helps with depth perception of anyone traveling behind you, making sure they don't come up and, you know, kiss the rack and the bike that you have on back here. So those are both really nice things you don't get on the Piston Pro, but just on this X model. But in addition to that, I mean, it's just really solid construction all the way around with everything that they've done here. It's 99% metal materials. It's got Tiger Drylock powder coating. So even this type of thing, it's not gonna scratch easily or rust. It should really hold up for the long run. Now, if you want to go beyond the features that it comes with, they even have some worthwhile accessories, one that they sent us and a few others that are worth talking about. So for the first one, where we're obviously an e-bike channel, if you are really testing out that 67 pound weight rating, you might want to look at something kind of like this ramp that they have for e-bikes. I mean, it's very easy. It slides in and out to make it shorter or longer so you can fit it in the trunk of your car. But I mean, you just hang it right on the back of the rack there. And then it's very easy to be able to wheel heavier e-bikes up. So that way, you know, if you got a bad back or back arm or anything like that, it's just very simple and straightforward for getting heavier bikes up. Now, beyond what you get here, there's a couple more accessories worth talking about, as I mentioned. One of them would be the Pivot V2. So if you're not unfamiliar with that, you can actually put that in the hitch and then you put the rack into the Pivot V2. It's essentially a swing arm function allowing you to move this out of the way 90 or 120 degrees even. So if you have a truck kind of like the one we have here, you can more easily get into the bed. You essentially don't even have to take this rack off ever, as it just makes it really simple and easy. But if you do take this off frequently, it's really nice because they also have what they call their rack dock. It's essentially a wall mount where you can put this in your garage so you're not tripping over it or stumbling on it if you try leaving it in a corner somewhere. Keeps it up off the floor, and it's really nice. The last thing worth talking about, especially with this bike that I just put on here, the electric one, they do have fender kit adjustments. So with this type of locking mechanism where it comes down over the tire, certain fenders are going to be compatible with it, certain won't be. So if you have a shorter size one like this right here, you can set it down to the fender setting. Now the straps, you essentially just secure here and here, just ensuring that it stays there. However, if you have some longer fenders, they won't always be compatible. So even down here, if you lower it down to the lowest fender setting, you'll see that would still make some contact with the fender. So that is something you have to decide for yourself. If you always have the fenders on, might not be best for you if you have the longer ones, or you need to look at taking those off when using the rack. So while that covers all the main features and all the main accessories, I do just kind of like want to give you my overarching thoughts when it comes to this rack. In general, like I said, it is about as easy to use and as premium as anything I've ever used. Like, it really is, you're getting what you pay for here in terms of just how simpler it makes life. Now with that, there are a couple of trade-offs and some cons, some things that I think that it could do a little bit better in the future. So one of those things would actually come down to the flexible cable. So it's nice to have that on there. It is a security feature, but when it's not in use, it just kind of like leaves an uncovered hole right here that dirt could easily get into, especially if you do a lot of mountain biking. I can just see a lot of dirt getting in there, kind of clogging it up and jamming it up. Would be nice if they had like a little rubber stopper that you could just put over it when you're not using it. The only other thing that I don't love too is the fact that while it is nice that this has got a powder coat on it, when you do fold these arms all the way down, You do get some metal on metal clang right here, where it just kind of kisses it. It feels like if they had some rubber over the top or down a pad right here, it would just kind of help mitigate some of that issue of just the unpleasant clanginess to it. And then last but not least, and it's very, very nitpicky, I'll admit that up front, but I wish they included the fender straps with it. It is a very expensive, almost $1,400 rack, so why not just include those fender straps is probably what I would say. But again, if you're spending $1,400, maybe getting the fender straps for another 20 bucks is not a big deterrent. So overall, like I said, the good heavily outweighs the bad, but there are a few little quirks that it could improve upon over time. So then just in terms of life day in and day out with the Piston Pro X, I mean, this is a very simple, straightforward product from day one. I mean, the assembly is really easy. I won't go into all the details because Küat actually provides a QR code you can scan when you get this. Shows you step-by-step assembly instructions that are really easy. You basically just put the center bay into the hitch, attach each section of it, each arm individually and bolt it on, and then, I mean, you're really ready to go. You're off to the races. It's very simple to get bikes on and off this. As I mentioned before, you just tap that piston, you move it, and then you can get the bike on there. There's not a lot of fidgeting, a lot of making sure everything's right. It's one of the quicker and easier racks that I have used for just adjusting bikes on the fly and then getting to where I'm going. And then of course, as you're driving around with it, and that's maybe the most important part of the day in, day out use is, like how does it feel when it's actually on the back of the car? Now, obviously any rack, something extending off your vehicle will have some amount of wobble and sway to it, but this one really bought my trust a lot quicker than most. I've used a lot of different racks up to this point, given what I do for work. And usually the first 2 or 3 times driving, I'm like staring at the rear view mirror, seeing how much they're moving and swaying. This one really bought my trust very quickly. It seemed just rock solid. Didn't matter if I was taking it on the highway or even when I was off-roading. Some of the off-roading I was doing, because I'm trying to test it, I'm going a little bit faster on the uneven surfaces, and even the amount of sway feels fine as long as you've got the clearance. I mean, it's even the type of thing, doesn't matter highway or off-road usage, it's going to do pretty well. Now, another big aspect of kind of making this your day in, day out usage is if it does stay on the hitch a lot of the time. It does even have a license plate mount that you can get so that it doesn't matter if it's folded up or if it's rested down, that does pivot and move, so you can clearly display your license plate. You're not going to have any problems with cops pulling you over for obstructing that. Just makes it really nice and well thought out of a product. You can use it wherever you're going. And then finally, just kind of like, what's the longevity like? How do I think it's going to hold up? I've kind of already ran through other marketing materials, so I won't go through them again, but just at the end of the day, they're more than just buzzwords. They actually do make it feel good quality. There is a sense and a feeling to different products, and this is one that I would trust to last probably as long as my car is going to last for me anyway. So really there's not much more to say about the Piston Pro X that I haven't already covered. I mean, if you have 1 or 2 beloved bikes that you want the best possible rack for, or if you have, multiple bike sizes that you're juggling and need something highly adaptable, I mean, this is definitely a premium rack that's going to fit the bill and make life easy and protect your bikes. I really love all the features it has on here, and anything that I didn't like about it was nitpicky and something I can probably honestly solve with some DIY in an afternoon. But overall, I'm just very impressed with the Piston Pro X from Küat, and I think it is a great hitch rack. So that's going to do it for this review. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and just remember that down in the video description below there are some links to the full written review with some more details, as well as a link for current pricing. And if you click that link, it does let the brand know that it was from us, and they share a little bit of the commission with us that helps out our channel. So I'm Griffin Hales with Electric Bike Report, and this was the Küat Piston Pro X review.